Hello, friends. Healing Grasshopper here to do a reading for the future of Social Security in a politics free zone. We don't talk about politics here, and they're useless anyway. We are just the American collective concerned about our retirements here. Okay? Shout out to, I'm so sorry, I can't remember your full YouTube name, but Tefania, who raised the question in my comments section about um, the fact that she wanted me to address this question. She asked me more than a month ago, and I told her I'd think about doing a video for it, and here I am. I know it's late, Tefania, but here it is. So this is dedicated to you. But this is for everyone because this is something that weighs on all of our minds and hearts in some capacity. You know, it gnaws away at us. We try not to think about it, but it's always there like, yikes, what's going to happen when I get older? Is that cushion going to be there for me? Because, of course, Congress has been kicking it down the line and not really addressing things, and it's making us all nervous. So, before we start, I'm going to introduce myself to you guys who are new here. My name is Healing Grasshopper. I do monthly and weekly zodiac readings. We have a very nice community, and we just work through life's problems together. I love hearing from you in the comment section, and I answer every single comment because I enjoy engaging with my Grasshopper Collective. So, other thing is I use pendulum as well as cards. So, all of these cards, yes, this is our first card, second card, third card. Okay. So, our question is though, I haven't asked it yet, but I know that Spirit is anticipating it because I've been meditating on this and talking to Spirit about this before we even started. So the first question is, what is the future of Social Security, and will it be there for us in the next 10 years? Um, Two of Pentacles, glad to see it. Hierophant, and the Emperor reversed. No. Okay. So the answer is yes. Okay. We've got Two of Pentacles that is about balance and about managing things well in the midst of turmoil. So what this is really saying is that yes, there's going to be controversy, there's going to be fights on both sides politically, but at there will be some practical decisions made. And then we have, but both sides are going to have to come to the table here and really remember what the subject is, what the motivation is, right? Because my eyes, often when I take out the Hierophant, I look up here at the Hierophant himself, but my eyes went straight here, which is poignant, right? These two in this reading represent the two political sides. And the Hierophant represents the country, right? And the American collective. And our Constitution, our the integrity of this country, right? So I'm glad to see the Hierophant here because it gives me hope, especially with the Two of Pentacles, because it gives me hope that we are finally going to put our swords down and focus on what's important here, right? And that there will be adequate leadership here, is what the Emperor is saying. So I I feel like we couldn't ask for better cards here. I mean, I know that some of the folks watching are like, "Oh, I want to see 10 of Pentacles. I want to, I want to see Four of Wands." But, if we got 10 of Pentacles, it would have been like, really? Really 10 of Pentacles? It's really going to be that good and rainbows and unicorns, Like that would have been hard to believe. This is more um it's more plausible, right? And it's what we want. This is exactly what we want. We want our leadership to stop futzing around already and do the jobs. And this is what this says. So this is very encouraging. So right off the bat, is it going to be there in 10 years? The answer is yes. Okay? So we can all exhale now. Our next question is, are we going to be okay? All right, Spirit. Here's justice. I was just about to ask, is this going to be done without, heavy reforms or reductions? And Spirit knew. Spirit was like, yeah, 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 here. So the answer is justice. The Hanged Man. Is this reversed? It is reversed. The card under it too? No. Okay. So we're going to turn this over and put this back. The Hanged Man reverse. Okay. So listen, we're starting out the gate with this question, which is, are we going to get to the 10 years without major reduction and reform? And justice is saying yes and no, pretty much, because my eyes just went here from the sword and the scale. First of all, the answer is, of course, it's going to be there because we know that already. And yes, there's going to be reform. And the Hanged Man here is still, there's going to be differences. Upright would be like, innovation, looking at things, um, with like ingenuity and, things going well. Hanged Man is like, we're going to get there, but not without a lot of pigheadedness here, which we know that. That's what we expect. We're going to have a lot of people at loggerheads here. There's going to be a lot of politics and individual agendas in this, which is so gross. But in the end, you know, we're going to get there, but not before, a whole bunch of nonsense. Ah, what did I say before? We want to see the Four of Wands or the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. So, okay. So here's the thing. This is reinforcing the fact that it will be there in 10 years. And it won't be, because there is a lot of talk about, yeah, it'll be there, but it'll be like a $10 check a month, or whatever. I'm exaggerating, but that's what a lot of people talk about. It's not going to be life sustaining money. We're going to be eating cat food, you know? But, you know, I think what this is saying is the benefits. Oh, a lot of people, like I said, we're eating cat food or whatever, but people often say that it'll be greatly reduced. It's not, we're not going to, and I say we because I'm talking about Gen Xers, that Gen Xers aren't going to be able to enjoy the full benefits that the boomers did, right? And the silent generation did. That the boomers is really are the last generation that's really going to get their full benefits. That's not true. In 10 years, it's still going to be the same, but my eyes are going back to the hangman. I have a feeling that it's not quite as perfect as we would like the Four of Wands to be. It'll, and the thing is that it'll probably be the same, which is not what we want. We want it to grow with inflation, and it's probably not going to keep up with inflation, but at least it'll be there. Just let's go to another deck here. Can you clarify the Four of Wands, please? Let's clarify Four of Wands. Queen of Swords. Yeah, right. Queen of Swords is about, you know, there's going to be some cuts, some practical cuts. I just heard SSI. Okay. So, Social Security for elder care is going to stay relatively the same, maybe a little diminished by inflation, but we'll have that only because they're going to cut in other areas, which might be Social Security, um, welfare, SSI. I don't greatly reduced, and maybe even not there at all. But disability will be, because I just heard disability. Okay, so um okay. So this question, these two questions really satisfied Gen X pretty much. Um but let's see how things are for the millennials. Okay. So 5 of Wands is the conflict card. Um So usually the 5 of Wands, a lot of readers will call like the fight card, conflict card. But most of the time it's not that serious. It's just more like sparring, like karmic situations that you learn from. But this may actually be conflict. because we're talking about Congress here, and there's always conflict in Congress, so it's kind of obvious that we're talking about fighting here. And then you have the moon next to it, which is it's nebulous. We're not sure. Things will be uncertain from the fighting. So look, millennials, you're going to go through the same fear that the Gen Xers are going through right now. So is it going to live past 2030? Can let's have one more card, please. Past 2030. Okay, I'm scared. Okay, so this is more reform. Yeah, so Eight of Cups is about a departure from the way things were and a moving on to something better, though. So, you know, will Social Security be abandoned? I don't think so. Wait, you know what? Let's, jeez, really jumping today. Reversed? No. Okay, Seven of Swords. Both of these. Wait, you know what? One more. The Chariot and the King of Cups. Okay, I get it. Because both of these can be interpreted in a positive and negative way, and I wasn't really sure. And I'm feeling this moon too. It feels uncertain. Um, okay, so I'm not gonna lie, millennials. Things are gonna get more difficult. What we're talking about here in the next 10 years is the continuing to kick the can, down the line. This is Congress probably managing to avoid the real subjects for a while, like putting more band-aids on things while cutting things to keep it alive. But then I think in 2030 things will come to a critical point where Congress is not going to be able to kick the can anymore. So that's going to create like a frenzy here and confusion from our point. Like we're going to be watching this fight like, what the hell? Like what's happening? Are we losing it? Are we not losing it? Like 1 second it'll be like, oh, it's gone. And the next second it's going to be like, okay, let's get the paddles, CPR. It may still be alive, but it's uncertain and we're biting our fingernails. But then it's like one can interpret this Eight of Cups like we're walking away from a good thing, which would not be good to hear for this. Or it can be like we're walking away from the old methods and implementing new ones. And then the Seven of Swords is like, and who knows? Maybe Spirit chose these two cards to be ambiguous on purpose, too, and that makes sense because the Seven of Swords can talk about a couple of things. It's like working harder, not smarter, because this guy has a whole bunch of swords here that he's stolen from this encampment. Like, haha, I've weakened my opponents. And see, that sounds all very political. So I do think we can apply that to this. But also, the more abstract interpretation of this is working harder, not smarter, and being smarter than your opponent, but also, you know, having things turning out better for it, like, oh, I outsmarted you, things are better. But better for who, right? So then I pulled out the King of Cups, which the King of Cups is stoic. He is a man who does not let his emotions cloud his judgments. You know, he keeps his emotions in check. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have emotions, but he certainly does not let it get in the way of his decisions, right? So it's like if Congress comes together and stops the nonsense, there can be a resolution. And I'm very, very happy to see the chariot here because this is movement. You know, yes, there's going to be a whole lot of nonsense that's going to, clog up the the pipes here and impede the progress. But here you have finally, after all this, you know, cloudiness and the fighting and all the nonsense, political nonsense, we're going to have movements. So, millennials, I am happy to say that yes, it'll be there for you too. Um, I just heard um, clapping and Gen Z. So listen, I feel like the millennial and the Gen Z collective in Congress are going to be the ones that finally stop the nonsense. There's going to be a little bit of the old politics, but there's going to, oh, you know what I just realized? My eyes went to King of Cups again. Okay. So King of Cups can, royal cards can bring very strong energy into a reading, but oftentimes it can represent a person. And I just realized that this King of Cups might be a president. Okay? We might have a president here who's like, listen, stop this nonsense already and get it done. And I just heard millennial, right? So there's going to be a millennial president that's like, cut it out already and get it done. We've got to do this for our country already. And remember, I used the word stoic. He doesn't want to hear it, or she, okay? Because King of Cups doesn't necessarily indicate a gender, it just indicates an energy, masculine energy, but it could still be a female. Okay? So good for you, millennials. And I just got to chill. I love this because I hate the whole millennials versus Gen X fight that they have, and like Gen Z is coming for the Gen X's and all that, but this generation versus the other one, just what? No. Um. So it felt good to congratulate the millennials. You guys are going to accomplish what we've been trying to accomplish for years. Boomers and Gen Xers. And you know what? It's probably because you guys are really millennials. You see things differently, very differently than uh, the Gen X and the boomers before us and the generations before us. You're really the paradigm changers, the beginning of the paradigm changers, and then it just gets progressively more innovative as the generations go on, because Gen Z is just like so mind blowing. I can hardly keep up with you guys, right? So, you know what? I think well, I was going to close it out, but let's get a peek at what's going to happen with Gen Z's retirements. I don't have much. All right, we're gonna start placing cards over Gen X because we've already told the story. So, what's the state of Social Security with Gen Z? Oh dear. Okay. So, calm down. Let's everybody relax. Gen Z, look, I really felt like millennials were gonna handle this, but I have faith in you, Gen Z. What's our next card? Oops. Okay. Whew. We've got the Nine of Pentacles. When I took this out, I was like, okay, everybody calm down. Everybody was really me. When I saw it, I was like, oh God, it's not what I wanted to see. Okay, good. So the Ten of Swords is okay, yeah. Gotcha, gotcha. So Ten of Swords is um I kind of for a moment let go of the real meaning of the card. Um Ten of Pentacles is telling us you, Gen Z, are going to be the not millennials. Not to say that you're not going to do some damn good work, millennials, because we've already talked about this. You are starting the chariot here. That Gen Z is. We haven't even climbed in the damn chariot, unfortunately. Right now, nobody wants to talk about it. Anyway, but the older millennials and the younger um, Gen Z generation are going to finally put an end to the social security conundrum and crisis. That there will be a resolution and a final cash flow here. And this isn't intuitive, this is a guess because I felt like this is definitely my own opinion here, just really quickly. I feel like from what this looks like here, because we haven't pulled out our third card, um, that we're probably going to, or you're probably going to, if I'm still alive, but there's probably going to be some sacrifice. There's probably going to be more withholdings, probably, but that the economy is probably. Yeah, I just heard Spirit interrupt me say better. The economy will be so good, and the state of the country in general will be so much better that the collective is not going to mind more withholdings. You guys are going to appreciate what withholdings represents. I think we're going to move. All right, let's just Who cares what Grasshopper thinks? Let's see what Spirit says. But Spirit isn't really halting what I'm saying, so I think my opinion is probably correct. Page of Wands. Yeah. This represents exactly what I was saying. That we are going to happily do what we need to do to get it done. And now I'm not talking about Congress, I'm talking about the country. I envision Congress coming to you guys and the president. Um, and I think it's beyond this King of Cups president, of course. We're talking about Gen Z. But we are going to have leadership that is going to get Americans, Gen Z Americans, and older millennials to see that it's in our best interest to have more withholdings and do what we have to do for the health of our social security. And what I was going to say before with, interrupting myself about my own opinions, what I wanted to say is that our point of view might start to be more like the Nordic countries, like Norway and Sweden, where, they've polled those countries many, many times about the taxes that they pay, which, by the way, are so much more than ours. And they're like, no, I happily pay those taxes because, I see the return from those taxes every day, that kind of thing. Like they have a healthy relationship with their taxes and their versus their benefits. And the reason why that we don't is because, in my opinion, we haven't had the right leadership, you know, in place. And I'm not just talking about presidents, I'm talking about government wide that has been able to put in place a balance of taxes versus benefits, you know? And I do believe that we're going to see that balance in this country. I'm so relieved. I honestly didn't know what I was going to pull out. I did ask with my pendulum, by the way, going back to Tefania, the reason why I'm doing this reading, that I told her, I'll think about doing a reading about this, but to answer your question, because I took out my pendulum and I asked, is Social Security going to be there in 10 years? And right away, the pendulum started swinging really hard, too. Because sometimes it'll be an easy swing, and sometimes when um, spirit will emphasize a huge yes with a harder swing, and I got a hard swing. And I told her yes. The answer is yes. So I knew that at least before I did this, but I didn't ask any of the other questions. Um, I didn't ask beyond 10 years. So here it is. I'm seeing it along with you. Thank God for you, millennials and Gen Z, coming from a Gen Xer. You guys did it. I'm talking about the future as if it's already past because we are all going to accept this reading and manifest it. Okay? We're going to take a deep breath and know that there will be something for us at our retirement. It may not exactly be what we want, but at least there will be something. We won't be left in the cold. Okay? I think that will be enough for reading number one. Though there will be subsequent readings, at least reading two. Let's hear from you guys in the comments section. We'll see what you guys, what's on your mind, and I might include your questions in the next reading. Okay? I answer every single comment. So have at it, guys. I can't wait to hear from you. Um, please like and subscribe. Stick around and listen to the monthly readings and get some personal advice. We have a really great community. We all support each other, and we're all ascending and moving towards, positive goals and dealing with the potholes in life um, with support. Okay? So I will speak to you soon. Love, light, and many blessings.